Darren, back in action. I know you played briefly last Saturday as well, but back in action after a long layoff. How does it feel, first of all, to be back playing?
Obviously, it feels good to be back in the park, but obviously I wish it was under better circumstances. I disappointed in my performance today, obviously the teams as well. Silly goals we're losing, but it's going to need to change, quickly.
Are we being simplistic? Can you say the word? Are we being oversimplistic? It looks as if we're playing well, dominating games, no scoring and letting in daft goals. It feels like that on repeat a wee bit the last couple of weeks?
I mean, we're not really doing the basics. Yes, the defence has been playing well, and obviously, even though we conceded 3 goals today, we're not really doing much to score. We're hardly getting any shots on target, and yeah, we can put all the balls we want in the box, but we need to get in, and that's myself included.
I was going to say, I'm watching from the sideline, because you've been doing that for a few weeks. Can you put your finger on how that can change?
I mean, I think, I think we're just in a wee rut just now, and I think one result will turn us around. We just need that confidence. I think we're obviously playing with no much confidence, and once we get that bit of confidence, that will hopefully change the tide for us.
And looking on from the side, you've got the likes of Corey, you've got yourself, you've got Ryan, you've got James Stone who's causing a threat. You're quite confident that we've got the players there to actually get the goals in the net once that turns round?
100%. We've got the players there. We've got players that can hurt teams. We all are good individual players. I don't know, something doesn't seem to be working just now. But I mean, we can, as long as we just keep trying and not giving up, because I feel as if we give up too easy. We gave up too easy today. I think our heads went down after the first goal. Silly goal to concede, but we just need to keep plodding away, and that's all really we can do. Obviously, I just need to keep plodding away.
Final one for you. How are you feeling after your game today, and how you feel in terms of your getting back to fitness?
I mean, obviously it's frustrating. I can't just jump in straight away and get a 90 minutes under my belt, because I think that was one of the problems last time. But obviously legs are feeling better. Obviously coming on a game, it's hard to adjust to the tempo of the game. Kelty are a good team today. They popped the ball about well, so I never really get a touch of the ball. But when I do get a touch of the ball, I think I need to do better personally. But I think that's the sharpness will come back. Obviously, sharpness is coming back every training session. So I just need to keep plodding away. Hopefully, I can help contribute to the team as much as I can.
Might be a daft question, just picking up on something you said there. Is it a lot harder to come on as a sub than it is to start a game?
I think for the first few minutes, you're trying to catch your lungs and get up to the pace of the game. But that's what the warm-ups there at the side is part for. You try and mimic the game as much as possible, but you're only running in that wee slide of the park. So I think coming on, you're trying to get your lungs and then get to adjust to the tempo of the game. But it normally takes a few minutes. I think everyone will agree with me for that one.
And so Darren, no, it's good to see you back, mate.
Right, thank you very much.
All the best for getting back to
the
full 90 minutes.
Thank you.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Look Blues Talking. I'm Lawrence Nelson. I'm joined tonight by George Frank, and it says Joyce Martin on my screen, but that George might well have edited that out before you see it. But we have to reassure you, it is Brian Martin. We're not going to get the wisdom of Joyce. Sadly, we're stuck with Brian. But anyway, good evening to you guys. Brian, Kelty Hearts away, and I noticed George caught on the drone footage Aiken Avenue. We were hoping that would be a lucky omen, but I think it was more Heartache Avenue on Saturday afternoon.
I have just parked just outside Aiken Avenue. The first thing I seen was, well, that maybe an omen for the day, but it wasn't. First half fine, Lawrence. We created a couple of chances, not a lot. Second, terrible start to the second half. I mean, it couldn't have went any worse. I think it was 46 minutes. So you got the opener, and after that, I think we struggled. We couldn't get back into it. We didn't create much. And once Tiff, I mean, to be fair to him, we did say, previously he's going to utilitise the squad, and he did that, and it became kind of ragged as the game went on. In fact, I think they got a bit stronger as the game went on. They brought on the likes of Innes Murray, Bros, the boy they signed for Queen's Park.
Yeah.
They were nearly their full strength team at the finish up, and 3-0 looked a bit harsh to us, but it's a cup game, so it doesn't matter whether it's 1-0 or 10-0, you're still beat,
It's true, George. Brian, as always, looks on the optimistic side of things, looking for it wasn't as bad as it sounded, and actually I suppose continuing on that theme before we get to the goals we conceded, that last sort of 20 minutes or so in the first half, apart from the very final minute when they were getting corner after corner, but apart from that, the last 20, 25 minutes of the first half was all Stranraer, created loads of chances.
It was, and it was. I can remember thinking at some point in the first half, I hope it's not that story again where
Yeah,
we're on top and we look like the dominant team. We're having most of possession. I thought our pressing game on Saturday was fantastic in the first half. We're turning over the ball a lot. Doherty, Quigg, both really winning a lot of the ball. But again, we just couldn't capitalize going forward, and we don't want that to be the story of the season. But it's been that way the last few weeks, and I'm hoping that the luck will turn on Saturday.
it kind of feels like if we get one, we might, capitalise on that and score. At the moment, it feels as if we concede one and everything goes to pot a little bit. Brian, you were already celebrating. You thought James Dolan had scored midway through the first half.
Yeah, it looked in favour where we were sitting on. You were quite cool and calm about it, but I thought it was a goal. It didn't look as though it was in the goal, but these inches, I don't know how that affected the game if that had been creeped in, but that was probably, I mean, the closest. I think O'Donnell maybe had a chance. Aaron Quigg had a chance for a tight angle. And that was probably about it. You
Yeah.
know, we said in the first half, Lawrence, we were camped in their half, which we were for the
Well,
large,
yeah.
large part of that, the second half of the first half, you know what I mean? But we just couldn't make it pay. And of course, as we say, we'll come on to the goals later on, but, it was a wee bit harsh.
Yeah, I was going to say our poor form at New Central Park continues, George. It was your first visit to Kelty's home ground, but I guess we've only actually played there. I think that was our fourth visit, but yeah, by the end, I think we'll come back to the goals in a minute, but by the end, I was saying to Brian in commentary, 3-0 sounds like an absolute comfortable win for Kelty, but certainly didn't feel that way at half time.
No, and I think in the end it was three shots on target for them and three goals, and I think that was probably the difference was that bit of clinical finishing that you would perhaps expect from a League One team. They had that bit of quality in the end, and maybe a little bit more fitness. Perhaps in the closing stages, I thought we worked really hard first half, and then sort of kind of disappeared out of the game to some extent. Um, as I say, there were a lot of positives, but it's the same old story where we're really needing to push on and to make sure we get that goal when we're on top. Um, we need to be we need to be desperate to score and we need to force it. And we didn't see that again.
Brian, it's the brutal truth is it felt a bit like Stirling Albion away again. We're on top for long spells. We create chances. We don't take them. We concede cheaply, and then we kind of fade out of things.
Yeah, as I say, I mean, to be fair to Tiff, that we did make a lot of changes in the second half, and I thought it kind of had a bit of friendly feeling about it later on. I mean, I know we were going for to get an equaliser. They got the second, which we were pressing and they broke away. It was actually, I mean, they were pitting us in the break in the second half. They
Yeah.
could, I think they were quite comfortable just soaking up the pressure because I think they knew we were quite toothless up front, and they just broke away and scored. I mean, and it, it's a hard lesson, I mean. But as George says in the first half, you've got to score when you're on top.
Brian, we usually leave it to you and commentary to pick up on the shape of the team, the formation, these kind of things. But I found it really noticeable after the impressive pressing game of the first half. 2 minutes into the second half, we suddenly stopped pressing them, and they went straight up the park and scored. I thought that basically turned the game for us. It was a cheap one to concede.
Yeah, I mean, well, George and me were talking about it when, I mean, did Josh shout to Ruffy? Did Ruffy not hear the shout? It was a simple pick up for Josh Lane.
It
Let's
was,
face it.
yeah.
It's a simple pick up. And if Josh shouts keeper, it runs to the keeper. But either he's not shouted or Ruffy's not heard the shout. And it wasn't a force enough header. It went straight to the Kelty Hearts player. And it was a good step over by the boy,
Mhm.
and the centre forward finished it. But poor defensive wise. You know, I mean, we don't know, did Josh shout or did Ruffy
Yeah.
no hear him? You know, and it was a simple goal. You know, and
It's never nice sort of pointing the finger at one player, George, but it did look to me as if that when Josh came out and then went back in again. So it kind of does come to like, what was the communication going on there? Was he told to leave it, or as Brian said, it felt as if Josh had kept coming, he gets the ball and the chance is gone.
Yeah, it looks like Josh should have claimed it. And if he doesn't, you're probably looking for Ruffy to head it out of danger. Where he heads it is unfortunately right into danger, and then it comes back down our throats. And yeah, I thought from there on, Kelty looked on top, and that was what they needed to take control of the game.
Yeah, they kicked on after that. I think that to me is one of the issues that when we concede, it's kind of like something we were doing about 3 years ago. We would concede and then concede another one. Now that didn't happen on Saturday. Let me underline that. But once we concede, I'm kind of feeling as if our pizzazz, if you like, goes, Brian. And they had loads of room then for these breakaways you were talking about.
yeah, I think we try to look for the equaliser, Lawrence. You know, and we didn't get it. You know, and as I said, they were playing the break. Second goal came from looking at the replays. Evan Dunn hasn't stepped out, and he played the guy on. I think for what it's very very hard to see.
Do you think he was on?
Well, Stranraer players for Adam, he was off, but looking at the replay, and I've looked at it two or three times, Evan Dunn hasn't stepped out. And there again, that's Ruff's position. If Ruff had him in the park, you know, he might have stepped out with the rest of the defence. I'm not blaming Evan for the defeat, but I mean, it could have been. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but it looked that way. But you know, they get the second goal when we changed it. They changed it. You know, changed the team. You know, which was always a danger. But as I say, you know, I mean, Tiff did say this cup was going to be used to use the bench, and he used it. And you know, we paid the price for them. I think if it's a league game, you're keeping the same side till at least 70, 75 minutes. But he wanted to give the players a chance, you know,
Mhm.
and we lost that second goal. I think it was maybe 5 or 6 minutes after Evan come on. So maybe change of formation or whatever, causes the second goal.
And George, it's not, I'm talking about Josh, Brian's talking about Evan, we're talking about Ruffy. It's not about individual players that we're trying to pin a defeat on, but actually what it was, it felt like three sets of errors that cost us the goals. Because even the third one, loads of room for the home team to operate.
I think so, and I think you've touched upon it as well in terms of the communication is a big thing. Lewis Reed in his post-match interview for Patreon was talking about how it, collectively as a defence, they probably weren't where they needed to be today, and he's, he's taking collective ownership for the whole defence, and I think that's good to see is that
Yeah.
they're not throwing anyone player under the bus, because ultimately we've got a new defence coming together, and that there is youth and inexperience amongst it, and I'm hoping that that comes good over the season, but we didn't see the best of them perhaps at times on Saturday.
Nice to see honesty, George. It did feel a bit harsh at full time saying to Lewis, so well done on being player of the month for August. And by the way, what went wrong this afternoon?
Not an easy first interview since being named player of the month, but
It's maybe
the
like
breaks.
yeah, it's maybe like the whole everybody always says the manager of the month, curse you get the manager of the month, and then your team loses. So we're
Yeah.
looking at East Kilbride this Saturday, whoever they're playing, we'll see what happens there. I guess the one thing about the Challenge Cup, Brian, is we are 13th out of 28 at the halfway stage, and 22 qualify. So we're still in good shape in terms of the cup.
Oh, absolutely, Lawrence. I mean, that's I said on Saturday, really, it was a free hit, because we've still got Motherwell B and St Mirren B, who seem a wee bit probably the better with the B teams, but Motherwell B have been taking some poundings. I noticed Clyde had 25 shots against them, and I mean they look the same kind of side as us. Well, I thought we were better than Clyde at Stair Park, so I mean, going in that. We should be getting 3 points there comfortable. I mean, the Queen of the South could be when we get to Queen says it could be a dead rubber because I mean maybe we're both no looking at the top six. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it'll be interesting.
As
But I
long as
think
we're
we're.
both looking at the bottom six, we'll be fine. You're right, we'll be fine. As long
I
as
mean,
we're both at the
I
bottom
think it's
six.
going to be. I mean, we'd like to qualify for the next round, obviously, and get another 10 grand. But if you're guaranteed 30 grand, it's a good lift, But I'm quite sure Alec Thompson and Cosmo are wanting us to progress as far as we can.
Absolutely. And as Cosmo made the point, finish as high up the table as we can because although we qualify for the next round, the higher up the table you are, I'm not saying you'll get an easier team, but technically you get an easier draw. You'll get a team that's
Yeah, I think
in
the
as low
seeding
as in the
wrong.
table.
If you, I think I thought it was the top 12, but if you're in the top six, along with the 10 championships teams, that's a 16 are seeded,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you get the 16 other teams, So I'd love to be seeded, but it's looking like we could. You never know. If you win your last three,
I
it could be.
I wait. Somebody might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even the higher up you are, if you're in the bottom lot, you're going to get a team that's lower down the seedings ranking. I don't
Right.
know if that's the case. Anyway, George, I'm going to leave you out of this next one because I know it's an official podcast, but I'm going to give an opinion on something that is not the club's view. Just looking at that league table, this tournament, Brian, seems set up to give the B team game time. Five of the bottom six at the halfway stage are B teams. Um, you look at the crowds in the competition, there's a lot of money available in this competition. It's no attracting the crowds. It just seems set up um, incorrectly, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, the sweetener is the prize money, isn't it? You
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
bring the B teams in and we'll give you good prize money.
Aye.
I mean, I think did Cosmo say it's under 19s? I mean,
Certainly
so
was with Rangers. I think they openly came out and said it's not a B team, it's our under 19 team.
yeah,
Perhaps
under
some of the other
19s are
teams it
good.
might not be that.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing against men basically, aren't they?
Aye.
And I mean, they're kids, just learning the trade. I mean, and if you put a strong team against them at all, I think you beat them. There's
Aye.
been a couple of B teams that have good performances, but all in all, I mean, they're just not good enough. But of course, as I say, they're kids, so they've
Yeah.
got plenty of time to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. I genuinely don't get this argument that if you let them in, it's going to improve them all as players. I think
Mm.
it'd be different if they were playing mixed in with grown men, but like one team of 19-year-olds against a team of adults, some of which in the tournament are full time. It's asking a hell of a lot. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my view on it. But let's get through and see where it takes us. George, Saturday at New Central Park. I know you were licking your lips at the prospect of the quality pies that were being advertised. So give us your pie watch on the Kelty pies on Saturday. We'll let you have that controversy instead of the beef controversy.
Yeah, I hope no one from Kelty's listening, but I think we were all very excited making the trip up to Kelty, particularly to sample the pies. We'd heard about these kind of buffalo pies. It was less buffalo, more buffalo no for me. There wasn't a lot of I don't know, structure to the pie casing. The insides appeared moist, but were actually, leaving your mouth very dry. So on the whole, I'd give it probably about a 4.
I was going to say it tasted well. It didn't taste. The texture was a bit more like buffalo hide. I think it was so dry, and it's almost as if they decided to add a whole pot of pepper to give it a bit of flavouring. Anyway, that's my
Yeah.
opinion. I don't know if you sampled one or not, Brian.
No, with my figure lunch, to eat pies. But no, I never bothered. No, I didn't. I never been a drink Saturday because we had to walk right round. The wee security guy says, you can't go that way. So we had to walk right round the park to get where we were going. We could be in 2 minutes. He says, no, you can got to get right round, pal. Oh, says,
I,
must
I,
be
I'll be
big.
honest. I was going to say, I'll be honest, Brian. I like New Central Park. I think it's a nice setup. But yeah, the security on Saturday was akin to the Champions League final. It was that you can't go into certain areas. George, you're getting the plaudits for the coverage at the weekend, and basically it was almost like a battle of the videos between, Josh Hay and BJ Cole up against the dad with a header in the second half. And actually expected more a reaction. Brian was the same, I think, to the dad with the header, but Josh Hay and BJ Cole was getting retweeted for Scotland, basically.
Yeah, I think you used the word Schadenfreude, was it, a couple of weeks ago? People love a bit of that, especially when it's a referee that's
Exactly.
involved. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's funny. Gary Redhead obviously runs the kind of social media accounts week in, week out, and puts in, a heck of a lot of time and effort. And then I drop a clip of BJ Cole getting flattened by a ref, and it does 750,000 views or something across the
Wow.
piece. So, um, yeah, I felt a bit bad, but for the club, it's obviously, it's a funny moment and stuff. But it's good to get the club's name out there in many ways, and we've got a lot of follows on Instagram off the back of it. And it's just a funny moment.
It's like the
Um,
time that Douglas Ross, who doubled as a linesman and the Tory party leader in Scotland, fell on his face running the line. And it's just the fact that, well, that was double. It's a referee and a politician fell flat on
I
his
was
face.
Lawrence. The referee's name was Josh Hay, and one of my mates says Cole fancied a roll in the hay.
Oh my God. Or a roll with the hay. Try to see what else I've scribbled down. Yeah, I was going to ask you, was Ennis Murray offside? You've come back on that one already. Brian, one other thing we were moaning about was not necessarily Josh Hay, but the bookings for O'Donnell and Docherty. I thought they were both clearly fouls. I thought the yellow cards were, particularly O'Donnell's one, were a bit
I mean,
harsh. But when I said Alec Ferguson was fouling, nothing too dangerous, but he was fouling the whole game and just
you know,
got away with
I
it,
mean,
basically.
the one with O'Donnell was very, very strange. I mean, did the ref think, oh, there's too many fouls in this game? I'm going to book somebody,
Yeah.
and just book. O'Donnell was unlucky; he was the one to get booked because how he could book somebody for that, that it wasn't even a nasty challenge. It was just, trying to get the ball for the side, and I don't know what he noticed, but it certainly wasn't a booking.
I have to say that we've had a few newbies this season so far, and Josh Hay was fine in comparison with some of the referees we've had so far. Um, George, you could coming back slightly to what Brian was talking about. You could argue that Queen of the South might take issue with this, but you could argue that that would be our toughest of the six Challenge Cup games, given that the other five are all at home. So again, kind of same question as I gave to Brian. We are in decent shape in terms of qualification.
yeah, I think we are, and those two games were always going to be the two toughies, as you say. Queen of the South, we've already beaten them once this season, so that should be a nice, straightforward one in a few weeks' time. Shots fired already, and then we just need to beat the B teams, which we've already beaten one of the better ones. I would like to think we can beat the two that are coming up, and hopefully that gives us a bit of confidence going into the league. But yeah, we need to start performing and taking chances, and we'll be all right.
And in terms of shots fired, George, while we stick with Dumfries, all things Dumfries and Galloway, the bottom six of the Challenge Cup so far are five of the B teams and an Athletic. What on earth's Wally Gibson up to across there?
Indeed, yeah, it's not been great. I think some teams are taking it more seriously than others, and I don't know what kind of team Annan have been putting out in the Challenge Cup. I noticed our opponents on Saturday, Spartans, have been playing Blair Carswell in goal
Hmm.
for their Challenge Cup games, and I think a few teams are kind of tweaking it. So it's maybe just with the likes of Annan, they're gonna see how they are in the last couple of fixtures and maybe really make a go of it and see if they can get over the line. But yeah,
Guess it might genuinely be that, George, that with only six of 28 going out, it's kind of like play about with the team and actually, hopefully, you'll still be in the mix. And as you say, if you're not at the end, stick your first team in for the last couple of games and see what happens. You mentioned Spartans there. Of course, we've got Spartans at the Ecogen Stadium at Stair Park on Saturday. Brian, it's fair to say Spartans, we had a bit of a better time against them last season than we had the season before,
Yep.
particularly
Yep.
thinking
I
of,
mean, the first game last season, right, was a 2 each draw after being two up. That was the very first game of last season, in fact. And then we beat them quite comfortably at Stair Park 2-0. I mean, you could almost name the Spartans team. They've changed the team very, very little. I
Mhm.
noticed Blair Henderson's off to Linlithgow.
Let's go. Yeah,
They brought in McNulty, so I take it Henderson, the writing's on the wall for Henderson. We bring in McNulty in. I mean, he was a good striker in his day, but he's not been scoring a lot recently, and I'm quite sure he'll do fine with Linlithgow, but the boy Stow's been scoring, so he's been his place was never in jeopardy because he's scoring that much, and
yeah,
Henderson must be wanting a game basically, and just asked
yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Okay.
And well, Lithgow sitting top of the Lowland League. They're probably well. I noticed they were pretty excited to announce that. And I'm not surprised. It's a
Mm.
decent signing for Rose. George, I don't know about you, but one of my favourite games of last season was Spartans away just before Christmas, midweek,
Mhm.
cold, frosty night. You could almost see the frost on the artificial pitch. That, of course, was the night that we had the mascot of a fox on the Ainsley Park pitch for us.
Yeah, that was the 3-1 win, wasn't it? And
Yeah,
it's always nice when you get something to aim the camera at that isn't some
isn't
kind of
Brian?
footballing thing. Yeah, exactly. So that was another little gift for the highlights package. Yeah, Spartans. We've had some good games against them the last
Mm.
couple of seasons, and we've shown up well at times against them as well. But they're a really good side, and I think possibly even better than ever. I would say this season up there with East Kilbride second in the table. One defeat in I think 5 league games so far. So yeah, tough team to play against. I think they beat Hibs B 5-1 last weekend as well. So yeah, we need to have every player at the absolute best on Saturday to get something.
Hibsed it again. Brian, that was my point going to be to you that Spartans may well be a different beast this season given their start.
I don't know, Lawrence. I watched the Spartans Annan game,
Uh-huh.
and how Annan never got a point from that. Spartans beat them 1-0, and even Willie Gibson, I'm manager will say this, but it was all Annan, and Spartans scored in the 86th minute. And how Annan, if you watch the highlights, go and watch the highlights. Annan were all over Spartans, and they scraped a win against Forfar as well, 1-0. They've had two good victories away from home, but again, if you watch the highlights with Clyde had 15 shots away against them. And again, Clyde should have been 2 or 3 up, and it was defensive mistakes with Clyde. And if you watch same with East Kilbride, the defensive mistakes East Kilbride was horrendous. I think Stow had a tap in the keeper, and I don't know. I'm a wee bit undecided about Spartans. I know they've got
Uh-huh.
12 points, but I'm just a wee bit, you know, how have they got? They've won games basically,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
we
yeah.
haven't, but I don't know if they're as good as what the points are saying. And I was looking at their team. They've got a 34 and a 35-year-old in midfield. So they're maybe not the quickest about. And this is the first time they played in grass this season. Other victories have been on the all weather. So I'm just I'm being devil's advocate here, basically. I mean, I'm saying it's not as clear cut as what the league positions are showing.
Is
I was
it?
going to say to you, Brian, how many teams actually have grass? But then I'm thinking we've got Dumbarton back down and we've got Stirling
Elgin,
Albion. Is that
Stirling,
it?
Albion, Elgin.
Elgin as well? Yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
there's more than there's been for a few years. George, sorry, you were coming in there.
No, I was just going to count to Brian and say, is that not the sign of a good team though, winning ugly?
Yeah, maybe.
And they've obviously been up against it in quite a few games, but they've come away with the 3 points. I was having a look at some of the stats for their forwards. Obviously, Mark Stowe's kind of making the headlines. He's got 9 goals in 11 appearances
Oh,
this season.
that's good record.
Cammy Russell, who obviously we know all about from the
Yeah.
last couple of years, 42 goals in 67 league games. Um, so that I think maybe the difference with Spartans is again what we kind of saw from Kelty on Saturday, that kind of clinical finishing, and yeah, maybe we can take a leaf out of their book and start winning ugly instead of losing heroically or whatever we've been doing up until this point.
Does that back up what you were, I think you were suggesting a minute ago, Brian, that you think their defence is the part of the team to get at?
Well, I mean, we've got speedy forwards. And if I'm quite sure he'll play Quigg and Stewart, and Russell in the middle of the park, which I think. I mean, I'm not being got my blue tinted specs on here, but I think they could be a better trio than what they've got in the middle of the park. They've definitely got a bit about them. Quigg, Stewart, and Russell. Russell hasn't hit the heights of last season, but I'm quite sure he'll come onto a game. And George was talking about Stow. I was looking at his stats for last season when he was with Spartans. He played 29 league games and scored 4 goals. And this season, he can't stop scoring goals. He scored. Is it 6 and 5? He scored 66% of their goals this season in the league. He scored 6, and the rest of the team has scored 3. I think it's one. I think young boy Drysdale scored against Kelty against what do you call him, Annan. So I mean, here's the difference at the moment. He's scoring goals, but I think Ruff and Reid love a challenge, and I think they'll love playing against him.
We we
I'm
quite
not.
often see the Spartans team coming into the wee shop in Girvan. So what I might do is just send Lucinda and Ellie in and get them to trip Mark Stowe up, and we'll be absolutely fine.
You beat me to it, George. I was going to say he's not leaving Edinburgh this weekend. I'm going to make sure he doesn't get out of town. So,
Yeah,
aye, Brian,
let down his ties.
down his tyres. Can't believe there are still people thinking we actually did let down the Queen of the South tyres. Do you seriously think we're going to do that and film it and put it out on social media?
As you can see here, the Queen of the South sponsored car, I think. Good lad, Lawrence. Letting the tyres down. Yep.
Another amazing stat about Spartans. They're definitely the oldest team in the league. Their youngest player who'll start on Saturday is probably 25.
Nice.
25.
Really?
I think we've got about 7 or 8 who are under 23.
Yeah. And we've actually made our squad a bit older this season. Last season and the season
their average age is 28. Their average age with the team that will play on Saturday is 28. Our average age is 23.
You could argue
that's put up by
you could
George.
argue that's a hell of an experience, Brian.
Yeah, I know.
That's the only thing. So whether Stow has been taken over the summer, he must have had a damn good summer holiday. There's something going on there to turn around his goal scoring fortune. What did you say? 4 in how many league games?
29 last season.
Aye, and how many this season? Is it 9
and 11?
9 and 11.
Yeah. Wow. 6 league goals. He's second top in the league stats with his top goal scorers. But I mean, honestly, if you see some of the goals he scored, they've been tap-ins. Honestly, the defensive mistakes that have been against him, it's unbelievable. Especially against East Kilbride. I think they got East Kilbride on the best day they could have got them. First day of the season.
That was the first day of the season, yeah.
Yeah, I think they got them the right day. I know it's Baldy, and of course Elliot didn't play against us, but Baldy played against us. Baldy and Elliot didn't play for. I think they were pretty short that day. East Kilbride probably got them a good day, but as I say, I'm putting the case forward. They're maybe not as good as what people on paper. I don't think they're maybe as good as what people are saying.
Let's just hope it's not like the Brian Stirling Albion comments last season, and we've got the Spartans, couple of fans coming on, raging at him next week, giving him the finger, basically saying, you got that wrong, Martin.
I mean, I've seen the prediction league in Pine Bovril, and some people have got 4, 3, 4. Our defence will never lose 4 goals like that. Never. I don't care what anybody says.
Just Corcanny, we lost 3 on Saturday, Brian.
Yeah, that was to League One side, who are at nearly full strength. We won't lose 4 goals.
On that topic, Brian, what did you make of Kelty as a League One side?
I've got to admit, Lawrence, I don't think League One's that great this year.
No, so you're shooting your argument to the foot there, mate.
I know, but they're a better league than us.
Yeah.
But I think East Kilbride could be right up at the top of that league. I don't think League One's a great league at all.
Yeah.
You like the Cove and even I've watched Dennis Weir.
In the south.
Montrose, correct? Montrose. I don't think it's a very strong league at all.
Yeah. Anyway, while we were losing 3-0 at Kelty, the South team were winning 2-0 at Mids and are now sitting second in the South League. Brian, you were pointing out to to the rest of us at the weekend that Wigton got a 10-0 doing from Camelon in the Scottish Cup.
Yeah.
Um, and you were having a go there. I mean, I think there's no doubt to me, people come on and shout at me, but in general, I don't think the South League is as good as anywhere near as good as the other Tier 6 leagues, the East of Scotland Premier, the West of Scotland Premier. But it's a right mixed bag. We saw Alan Jenkins' side taking sixth off Kilsyth Rangers a couple of weeks ago in the Junior Cup, and Kilsyth Rangers are West Division 1, so that's immediately below, like Talbot and Hurlford and all the rest of them. And they're at home to Lanark United in the next round. Brian, you must be able to tell us some inside information on Lanark
I thought
United.
it's Kilsyth no League Two, Lawrence.
No, no, League One. Pretty sure they're League One. I might be wrong. I'll check that and come back to you. But anyway,
Lanark got promoted last season. I think they're in the same league as
right,
Kilsyth
okay.
last
Well,
season.
hold that thought for now then. Maybe they're League Two, but
I
sixth
could
is
be right.
that.
I think I read. Okay, I got I had my spies out this
Aye,
week because I've been asking people. Right, Lanark United plays Stranraer reserves. What's it going to be like? The Lanark played Cairn
yep,
on Saturday and got beat 6-0.
uh-huh,
But I hear that Cairn are the money boys and they are going to shoot up the league seemingly. I think they've had money for a few seasons, right? Somebody said that they had money, but they seem to be getting money pumped into them. And I was talking to a boy this morning, in fact, and he said, he says they'll coast the league, they'll get promoted, no problem. He says because they've got a lot of money behind them. So that, whether that's a false, I don't. That it's went the other way because Lanark United have lost their sponsor.
right.
He was a guy from Les Mahago, a builder, who pumped the money into them. I think it was the past 2 seasons. But I think because they didn't get promoted last season, he took his money out and went back to Les Mahago. And of course, Lanark got promoted through Broomhill getting out of the leagues. But Lanark is a completely new team from what I hear. The
Yeah,
boys had to start from scratch. And I
higher in
think
a higher
Stranraer,
division. Yeah.
yeah, and I think Stranraer reserves could have a chance against them.
Yeah, interesting one. George, it kind of, when I heard the rumour that we were in the Junior Cup, I'm like, really? Because I think the Junior Cup, it feels to me as if it's been dying slightly in recent years because the South Region Challenge Cup is now the big one because it's got all the Lowland League teams in it as well as the West, the South, and the East. But it kind of made sense to me. So I need to speak to Alan directly, but I think what I heard was that his view was it gave his team a chance to play teams from outside the South. So all the other teams in the South League get into this either the Scottish Cup or the South Challenge Cup or whatever. Stranraer can't because they're a reserve side, but it kind of makes sense that actually they're able to expose the players to teams from other parts of the south of Scotland.
Yeah, I think it's a really good thing. And it's only going to benefit Alan's squad as well to be playing against players of that quality and players of an older age. And they've shown already by beating Kilsyth that they can compete, and hopefully they'll get through this round as well. We'll see.
The Scottish Senior Cup is on the go. Brian, I see Talbot and Cumnock's going to be the tie on the telly. That'll be all police leave cancelled in East Ayrshire, I suspect.
Oh, what a fantastic tie that is, Lawrence, isn't it? Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that and tell you, I must admit. I mean, obviously, Auchinleck will be strong favourites because
Yeah.
they've started off really well. Cumnock have been okay. I think Cumnock's got half a Stranraer team in it, right enough. But yeah, I think Auchinleck will be strong favourites. So that should go through, but it'll be some game.
Where's Cameron Ritchie when you need him? He'll have a list of all these players that are involved. But George, it's in terms of management, it's Tucker Sloan, ex-Stranraer star, up against Swifty, ex-Stranraer star, both not managed Stranraer either of them, but both ex-players.
Yeah, we
It's
had
interesting.
Swifty on the Bandstand podcast for Patreon a couple of months back, and Cameron, like you say, was kind of reeling off all the names. I think it's like Dylan Dykes. He mentioned Daniel Higgins, and Swifty's like, did he play for Stranraer? It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, he did.
yeah,
So he
it's hard
was
to
like,
remind
didn't.
him. And Tam
Yeah,
Moore, of course,
indeed.
and Grant Gallagher. Now,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So plenty to look out for as a Stranraer supporter, but I think as a fan of lower league football and that kind of thing. It's just going to be a really entertaining game of football.
It's
Yeah,
entertaining. I can't help feeling, Brian. I love the idea of the pyramid. I love what they've done with the Scottish Cup, letting all the other teams in. It just makes it bloody harder for us to progress, though.
yeah, it certainly does, man.
Tougher.
I was just saying, I hope we don't get Auchinleck away from home in the next round if they get through. That'll be a right hard game.
Again, that's one you need Cameron for, because that's one of his. If you ask him about a memory game in the cup, it's always the Talbot ties he comes back to.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a right tricky draw, but as I say, they've got to get through it against Communic, but I think they'll be strong favourites.
They should indeed. And some of the fans from the East shouting, "Is it West Coast biased again?" I think is it Broxburn and Bonnyrigg meet as an
Yeah,
all-London league tie.
yeah,
I can see where they're coming from, but actually, in terms of sort of semi-legendary local
yeah,
battles, either Talbot against Cumnock or Glenafton or whatever,
yeah,
they're right up there. So anyway, that's still to come in a few weeks' time, and after that's all over and done with, we'll find out who we've got in the second round of the William Hill Scottish Cup. But ahead of all that, we have got the Spartans at the Ecogen Stadium at Stair Park this Saturday. Kick-off 3 o'clock as ever. I noticed there is still hospitality opportunities up for grabs. The club have been announcing that, so why don't you have a little look at that and see what you could fix up and make a right afternoon of it. Apart from that, get yourself out to Stair Park, get yourself out early, go to the Pavilion Bar and back the Blues. And thanks for watching. It changes within about 30 seconds anyway, so. Oh, the referee's getting into battle early doors. Get them up, didn't he? So, it's a good start.